Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep on this wild conversation between Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, a wild ride is right.
It really does cover everything from AI, artificial intelligence, to government spending, and even the cost of a green card.
Definitely not your typical interview, some real surprises and pretty thought-provoking stuff, to say the least.
So should we just jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. Early on, Musk and Rogan get into talking about news and media. They seem pretty concerned about legacy media, as they call it.
Yeah, and even using the term propaganda, strong word.
It is. So they claim most media outlets are all basically echoing the same talking points, no matter their supposed political slant.
Right, and without, really doing their due diligence, fact-checking, or even just thinking critically.
They even use that example of everyone saying sharp to describe something that happened before the Biden-Trump debate. But, nobody ever clarified exactly what happened.
Right, exactly. Like, what even was that?
Yeah, so are they saying it's less about reporting the truth and more about pushing an agenda?
Exactly. And with that lack of objectivity, it's hard for people to, to really know what to believe, how to even form their own opinions.
And Musk and Rogan are really encouraging people to question everything they read and hear in the media, especially when it comes to these big, complex issues.
Don't just take it at face value.
Right. You can't just take things at face value anymore. You really have to do your own research, to find the truth.
You got it. And speaking of digging for the truth, Musk gets into some wild details about his work with the Department of Government Efficiency. He calls it Doge, by the way.
Doge.
Yeah, Doge.
I love that.
And what he's uncovered is really concerning billions of dollars in government waste.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he talks about potential fraud, too, right? Like the Navy getting $12 billion for submarines that they never actually delivered.
Yeah. Or that crazy story about 20 million, count them, 20 million deceased people still listed as alive in the Social Security database. I mean, what?
How is that even possible? Seriously.
That's what Musk is trying to figure out, right? He's saying this is just the tip of the iceberg, basically symptoms of a much bigger issue, a system that's gotten so big, so bureaucratic, that it's basically impossible to manage effectively.
So not just, a few isolated incidents, like a systemic issue.
A systemic issue. And that's where Doge comes in. Musk wants to expose these cases and try to fix them. He's challenging the system, trying to force it to be more accountable to us, the people.
Right, because it is our tax dollars that they're wasting.
Exactly.
It's our money.
Yeah, and what I like about Doge is Musk is all about transparency with it. He even encourages people to call out any errors they find in Doge's reports, which is pretty refreshing, right? Because usually, government spending is all hush-hush.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like a completely new approach to government and accountability. Makes you wonder, if there's this much waste and fraud in these areas, what else are they hiding from us?
Great question. It's a great question, and it leads perfectly into the next part of their conversation, which is all about transparency.
Or lack thereof.
Or the lack thereof, right? Musk and Rogan specifically talk about the Epstein files and the JFK files.
Ah, yeah. The missing mountain of evidence in the Epstein case and all those rumors about what's really in those unreleased JFK files.
Exactly. They're both frustrated with the lack of transparency and the constant delays and redactions, just fuels the mystery.
Yeah, makes everyone wonder what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to, what we were saying about Doge, right? Powerful institutions operating in secrecy.
Yeah. And this is where Musk throws out this very Musk idea of a live tour of Fort Knox to verify the presence of the gold reserves.
Okay, yeah. Classic Musk.
Classic Musk.
Always pushing boundaries, right?
Yeah.
But his point is valid,
Right.
If there's nothing to hide, then why all the secrecy?
Right. Transparency builds trust, which seems to be in short supply these days with these institutions.
Absolutely. Whether we're talking about the government or the media. And speaking of things that are hard to see, the conversation turns to unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs.
Oh, here we go.
UFOs, right?
UFOs, yeah.
Does Musk believe in aliens?
Well, he doesn't rule it out.
Okay.
But he's careful to point out that just because we don't understand something doesn't mean it's aliens.
Good point.
But he does acknowledge that there have been some very strange sightings, like the Tic Tac incident that Commander David Fravor described, the one where the object was moving crazy fast and doing these maneuvers that, are basically impossible.
Yeah, yeah. Defying the laws of physics,
It's
basically.
defying the laws of
It's
physics.
so crazy.
It's crazy. And then, of course, there are all these rumors about this high-resolution UAP footage that the government supposedly has,
But won't release.
but won't release. Classic. It's a real mystery. Musk and Rogan seem genuinely intrigued.
Oh, absolutely. Makes you wonder what's really out there.
Makes you wonder what else is being kept from us.
Ties back to that whole transparency thing again.
It all connects. It all connects.
Okay, so we've got government waste, UFOs. What's next on the agenda?
Well, Musk brings us back down to Earth, literally,
Okay.
with a deep dive into the challenges of building Starship, SpaceX's massive reusable spacecraft.
Oh, yeah. I love Starship. It's
Oh.
like straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It is. And Musk gets really into the weeds on the engineering, especially when it comes to the heat shield.
Yeah, I've heard the heat shield is like one of the biggest challenges of designing a spacecraft for Mars, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's got to withstand like thousands of degrees during reentry, and it has to be reusable, which has never been done before on this scale.
Right. So how are they pulling that off?
Well, Musk explains that they're using these special tiles made from a blend of glass and sapphire fibers. The way these tiles are placed is really crucial. They have to be like perfectly positioned to allow for expansion and contraction during those crazy temperature changes.
Sounds super complex.
Super complex. And he actually compares it to the way airplane wings are designed to flex and bend, to withstand stress.
So Starship's heat shield is basically like a giant, flexible, heat-resistant wing.
Basically.
That is so cool.
It's amazing. But, even with this crazy design, there are still risks. Musk talks about micrometeorites and the damage they could do.
Right.
Just highlights the challenges of space travel.
Yeah. It really is mind-blowing to think about the level of engineering that goes into something like Starship. Okay, we've covered a lot, but I know there's still more.
Yeah.
What else is coming up?
Right. So from space travel, we're shifting gears to something a little more theoretical, but just as important. AI.
Oh, yeah, AI.
Mm-hmm.
A topic Musk has been very vocal about.
Yeah. And he reiterates his long-held belief that AI poses an existential risk to humanity. Says his predictions about AI surpassing human intelligence are, coming true.
So he's still worried about AI, becoming too powerful.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And he expresses disappointment with OpenAI, which he co-founded, by the way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What happened there?
OpenAI has become more closed source and profit-driven, which, in Musk's eyes, is a betrayal of its original mission.
So he's concerned that, the pursuit of profit could lead to dangerous or even harmful AI.
Exactly. And this is where his own AI project comes in, Grok.
Grok. Okay, tell me more about that.
So Musk describes Grok as being maximally truth-seeking. Even when those truths are, controversial or unpopular, it's almost like he's trying to build an AI that can cut through all the noise and the biases and just get to the truth.
An AI dedicated to truth.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how that will actually play out in the real world.
Well, that's the big question, right? Can an AI truly be objective? Or will it just end up reflecting the biases of its creators?
That's something we all need to think about as AI becomes, more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that are deeply integrated into our lives, the conversation then takes her turn towards politics.
Ooh, here we go.
Buckle up. Musk and Rogan get into this whole concept of the uniparty.
The uniparty. I'm not familiar with that term.
So the idea is that Democrats and Republicans, even though they seem to be at odds, they're actually working together to maintain the status quo, a system that benefits both of them, but not necessarily the rest of us.
So it's all just a show, a way to keep us distracted while they maintain their power.
Essentially, yeah. Musk is really questioning how politicians on these modest salaries are able to accumulate so much wealth, and suggests that there's, some shady stuff going on, like insider trading.
That's a serious accusation.
It is.
Is he saying that both parties are equally corrupt?
He doesn't explicitly say that, but he does suggest that corruption is a systemic issue.
Wow. Makes you question the whole system.
It does. And then Musk throws out this wild idea of paying politicians more to try to reduce the incentive for corruption.
Pay them more.
I know, right? But his argument is if they're making a decent living, they'll be less likely to engage in those shady dealings.
Interesting. A little paradoxical, but it's thought-provoking for sure. I mean, if corruption is as widespread as he suggests, then, maybe we do need to consider some outside-the-box
We
solutions.
can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results, right?
Okay, so we've gone from deep space to American politics.
Yeah, quite the journey.
I can't believe how much we've covered
I
on.
know, right? And we're not even done.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into Musk's views on the challenges facing America, the rise of censorship, and the future of humanity.
Okay, this is getting intense. I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, we left off with that whole uniparty thing. It really made me think about how much influence we actually have,
Yeah.
in the system.
Yeah, good question. And in this next part, Musk and Rogan, really don't hold back, talking about how narratives, even language itself, are used to control public opinion.
Yeah, Musk even used the term Democrat propaganda machine at one point.
Yeah.
It seems to feel like, they've targeted him specifically, especially because of Doge and all that stuff with entitlements fraud.
What's interesting is Musk actually claims there's a deliberate strategy at play here. He's saying, the Democrats are using entitlements fraud, especially cases related to illegal immigrants, to attract more illegal immigrants,
Correct.
creating this, voting bloc that keeps them in power.
So he's saying that policies like making healthcare free for illegal immigrants in California are actually designed to, what? Attract more people who will then vote for the party that gave them those benefits. Sounds a bit like, a conspiracy theory.
Well, that's where things get tricky. Musk's critics would say he's, fear-mongering, promoting anti-immigrant sentiment. But Musk insists he's just pointing out what he sees, what he sees as a strategy that hurts everyone.
So what he's saying, these policies aren't actually helping the people they're supposed to benefit. They're creating this unsustainable burden and eroding trust in the government.
Right.
Yeah.
And putting a strain on resources, impacting people who are legally entitled to benefits.
Okay, yeah. Complex issue. No easy answers.
No, not at all. But it does raise those important questions, like what are the motivations behind these policies, and are they really doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Definitely makes you think. And that whole idea about manipulating narratives goes back to what they were talking about with the media, right?
Right.
If the information we're getting is biased or incomplete, how are we supposed to even form our own opinions?
Exactly. That's the key takeaway. We got to be critical of the information we're consuming, get our news from multiple sources, different perspectives.
Don't just trust one source.
Right, exactly. And speaking of controlling narratives, they also get into this idea that language itself is being weaponized.
Okay, what do they mean by that?
Well, they talk about how certain words and phrases have become so politically charged that they've lost their original meaning.
Yeah.
They're now used as tools to shut down debate.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, they talk about the word Nazi, how it's been used so casually, overused,
Right.
that it's lost its impact.
Yeah, it's like, crying wolf. If you overuse a powerful word, it loses its meaning.
Yeah, exactly. And they also talk about the deliberate distortion of facts,
Uh-huh.
twisting things to fit a certain narrative.
And they're blaming legacy media for this.
You're very critical of legacy media, yeah. Accusing them of engaging in propaganda, basically, manipulating the public.
Strong words. I have to admit, it does feel like there's less emphasis on, unbiased reporting these days.
That's a huge concern, yeah. Musk and Rogan really urge listeners to be skeptical, especially when it comes to sources with a clear bias.
Yeah, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Exactly. And it's not just about being skeptical. It's about actively seeking out different perspectives, forming your own conclusions.
Right, don't get caught in those echo chambers, filter bubbles.
Totally. Challenge your own beliefs.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about propaganda, language being, weaponized. Where does the conversation go next?
Well, naturally, to censorship, especially online, social media.
Oh, right. Musk
Yeah.
bought Twitter, which is now X, right?
Yeah, X.
Big deal at the time.
It was. He made all those promises about free speech.
Yeah, how's that going?
Well, let's just say it's been complicated. He talks about how disappointed he was with how Twitter was run before he bought it, claims it was suppressing free speech, censoring certain voices.
So he's basically saying that Twitter was a biased platform.
That's his take, yeah. He sees his purchase as an attempt to restore free speech.
But that's easier said than done.
Way easier.
I mean, there are real concerns about misinformation, hate speech, all that stuff.
Absolutely, and Musk knows that. He's getting criticism from both sides, too.
Oh, I bet.
Some say he's censoring too much, others say he's not doing enough.
So he's stuck in the middle of this whole free speech debate.
Right in the middle.
Wow.
It's a tough one, you know? This whole digital landscape, information spreading so fast.
It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. Doesn't seem like there's an easy solution.
No, not really. But Musk seems determined to find a way. He believes that, free speech is essential, even if it means allowing some unsavory views.
Bold stance. I bet that's not winning him many favors.
Probably not. But he's never been one to shy away from, shaking things up.
That's true. Okay, so we've covered a lot of heavy stuff. Government overreach, the media, censorship. Does it get any lighter?
Well, not exactly.
Oh.
From censorship, the conversation shifts to political violence. Yeah. Both Musk and Rogan are concerned about the growing polarization, the rise of extremism, on both sides.
Yeah, it does feel like the political climate has gotten, more intense, more volatile in recent years.
Right. People are angrier, less willing to listen, to compromise.
Exactly.
They talk about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, the threats Musk himself has received. It's scary stuff.
It is. When people start resorting to violence, we're in trouble.
Big trouble. And they emphasize the need for, civil discourse, finding common ground, stop demonizing each other, start listening to each other.
Right. It's easy to forget that, people with different political views, they're not our enemies. We all want what's best.
Exactly. We just disagree on how to get there. That's the point they're trying to make. We need to find a way to bridge those divides.
Okay, so after all that, does Musk offer any hope for the future?
He does, actually. He still believes in the American dream, the potential for positive change, thinks we need to, get back to basics.
Okay, what does he mean by that?
Individual liberty, limited government, personal responsibility, those core values. He thinks if you focus on those things, we can overcome the challenges.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. We're tired of the division. We want to believe that things can get better.
I hear that. And Musk's optimism, it's contagious. He might be controversial, but he inspires people.
Yeah, to think big, to believe in possibilities.
Exactly.
Okay, so, wow. We've explored so much. Government corruption, manipulation, censorship, violence. Is there anything else?
Believe it or not, there's more. In the final part of this deep dive, we'll explore Musk's vision for the future of humanity, which includes colonizing Mars, harnessing the power of AI. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've gone pretty deep down the rabbit hole, haven't we? AI, politics, even some pretty dark stuff about, the state of the world.
We have. But in this last part, Musk and Rogan kind of shift gears. They move from the problems of today to, well, the possibilities of the future. And it gets pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So they talk about, colonizing Mars, using AI for good, even ensuring the survival of humanity.
All that and more. But let's start with Mars. Musk's been talking about it forever, and SpaceX is, actually making progress. But why Mars? Why not the moon or some other planet?
Right. Good question.
So Musk says Mars is the best option for self-sustaining colony. It has some things you need for life, like water ice and a thin atmosphere. Plus, it's relatively close to Earth.
Okay, but he's not talking about just sending a few astronauts, right?
Yeah.
He wants to build a whole civilization on Mars.
Exactly. He sees it as an insurance policy for humanity.
An insurance policy.
Yeah, Earth is vulnerable, asteroids, climate change, all sorts of threats. He thinks a second home on Mars would increase our chances of surviving.
Okay, I get it. But how realistic is that? Getting to Mars is one thing, but making a planet that's basically a frozen desert livable, that's a whole other challenge.
Yeah, definitely not easy. But Musk believes it's doable. With the right tech, the right people. He even talks about terraforming Mars.
Terraforming, like changing the planet.
Exactly. Transforming the atmosphere, the climate, making it more Earth-like.
And how would they do that?
Well, there are a bunch of ideas, but one is to release greenhouse gases into the Martian atmosphere.
So create global warming on Mars.
Basically, yeah. It would warm the planet, melt the ice caps, and eventually maybe lead to oceans and a climate more like ours.
Wow, that's incredible. But wouldn't that take, hundreds of years?
Probably, yeah. But Musk is thinking long-term, He sees this as a project that'll take generations.
It's amazing to think about. Cities and forests on Mars. A second chance for humanity.
It would be. But Musk also realizes there are risks, like accidentally bringing Earth life to Mars or creating a Martian society that repeats all our mistakes.
So he's not, like, totally naive about it. It's not just about technology. It's also about the ethics of it all.
Yeah. Right. And this is where AI comes back in. Musk thinks AI is key for colonizing Mars and for solving problems here on Earth, too.
So AI is both the solution and the problem.
Yeah. He really emphasizes developing AI responsibly, making sure it aligns with, human values. He's still worried about AI getting too smart, escaping our control, like in those sci-fi movies.
The robot uprising.
Exactly. But Musk's not dismissing it. He thinks it's a real possibility.
So how do we prevent that? How do we make sure AI stays a tool for good?
Musk says the key is transparency. We need to be able to understand AI, control it, not just create these like black boxes we don't get.
So making AI smarter isn't enough. We have to make it more compatible with us.
Right. Like his project Grok, that he wants to be truth-seeking. If we can create an AI that's driven by truth, it's less likely to, go off the rails.
An AI that wants to understand, that's a powerful idea.
It is. It reminds us that we control AI's future. It's up to us how it develops, how it serves us.
That's a big responsibility. What we do today affects everything that comes after.
It really does. And that's what Musk and Rogan leave us with, this idea that humanity's at a crossroads. We can create amazing things or we can destroy ourselves.
It's scary, but it's also inspiring, right?
Yeah.
We have the power to decide our future.
Exactly. It all comes down to the choices we make. Fear and division or hope and collaboration. Clinging to the past or embracing the future.
Wow. That's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey, this deep dive into Elon Musk's mind. All the challenges, all the possibilities. It really makes you appreciate just how complex the world is.
It does, and that's what's so great about these kinds of conversations. No easy answers, just, big questions, big ideas that, shape our future.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been enlightening, and we hope you'll be back next time for another exploration of, the ideas that really matter.
Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.